Welcome to Achieve Financial Freedom. I'm your host, Rhonda Payne. Here we sit down with entrepreneurs who share their journey, strategies, and insights to help you build wealth and create the life you deserve. If you enjoy conversations that motivate and educate, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a future interview. Kevin Boyd is a licensed clinical social worker with 14 plus years of experience and the founder of Future Full of Hope, a therapy practice based in Durham, North Carolina, who specializes in serving creatives, professionals, and men. Kevin is also a certified clinical trainer and author of his blogs, Beats, Bars, and Better Days, where he explores the intersection of mental health and hip hop music. Future Full of Hope provides person centered, strength based, and solution focused therapy to help clients process their past, embrace their present, and step into their future. The practice offers flexible teletherapy services, making quality mental health care accessible across 6 states. They are also a 1% for the Planet Business member, demonstrating a commitment to creating a future full of hope through their philanthropy in addition to their therapy services. Thank you so much for joining our channel. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Rhonda. I am doing well. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm trying to stay warm with this weather.
I know I've got my cup of coffee. I can still see the snow and ice outside the window in front of me. I feel you. I'm doing the same thing.
Well, listen, I always like to start off telling my viewers or sharing this vital question as when I speak to my entrepreneurs. So, what inspired you to start your business?
Sure. That's a great question. So, when I started my business, I'd already been in my career for about 10 years. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I'd been practicing for 10 years as a therapist, providing individual therapy, group therapy, family therapy. I'd been a clinical supervisor. I'd been a QI clinical supervisor. I'd been a program director. I started my business for the first time because I got to a place where I wanted people to have access to therapy, to have access to high quality psychotherapy that works for them. I primarily work with men, and that's because for a lot of men, we're reluctant to go to therapy, I think for a lot of reasons. And sometimes it's because of the therapist and the way that therapists provide services. I wanted to make therapy accessible to men. I wanted to do a good job engaging with them in psychotherapy. I also wanted artists and creatives and entertainers a way to connect with high quality therapy services. I started my career working in the city of Los Angeles, and a lot of my peer group at the time, industry friends, they had trouble getting access to therapy who knew how to leverage their creative capacity in session or who understood their experience as people in the industry. And so this has been an opportunity for me to offer those services to my clients also. And as I mentioned, I was kind of at the peak of my career when I decided to start entrepreneurship, start my own company. I was a pretty high performance professional person, and I wanted to make sure that my demographic also had access to high quality therapy too. That people who had goals that they knew they wanted to achieve in regards to managing work stress or family relationships and professional life, family life balance, or parenting things, stuff like that. I wanted to make sure they had access to therapy too. And so for me, it was a way to, I had a way that I wanted to niche in my practice to create opportunities for people to have access to therapy in this way.
That's beautiful. And I also, in reading your bio, I understood that you walk by a billboard. So connect that for me and how you were able, just in your daily kind of walk, you saw something that just resonated, that spoke to you. Can you tell the viewers what you saw and how that connected into building up your business?
Absolutely. So I mentioned I spent the first 10 years of my career working as a licensed psychotherapist. I was working in the city of Los Angeles, and I worked primarily with young men on probation. So it was a lot of gang intervention treatment work, trauma-informed treatment work, drug treatment work, family therapy, things like that. And in 2018, I had just due to the nature of work, there were a number of young people I knew who had been killed by gang violence in the city. And I was at a place where it was hard to feel like the work that I was doing was making a difference. A lot of sadness, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of you see what violence does to communities, does to families. And I walked by this billboard at the corner of La Brea and Hollywood in Los Angeles. It was put up by a community of faith called Mosaic, and it read, The future is full of hope. And for me, that became a personal mantra, a reason to keep going. In my industry, particularly as a licensed clinical social worker, that's my particular certificate or licensure. We've got a pretty high burnout rate because we care for a lot of people. We're typically overworked, underpaid. And for me, that became a mantra, a reminder that the future can indeed be full of hope as long as people are working towards it, that there's still good that can be done in the world. And then as 2020 hit, that mantra again continued to be personalized with what we were going through as a nation, as a world, and became a great pad, a great launch pad for my company. I named it that, Future Full of Hope, because that value is at the core of everything that we do. I believe that therapy and accessing therapy and engaging in therapy meaningfully is a way to create a future that can be full of hope in your own life. I'm licensed in 6 different states, so my clients can get access to me from wherever they're at. So I can connect to people all over the US to be able to do that.
That's beautiful. I am so thankful that we are now in a generation that I feel like the stigma of having therapy is
Yeah.
slowly fading away, and that you have a populations that are often silenced, and I'm a male, so I have to show up in a certain way. So for you to be able to tap in and say it's okay to cry, it's okay to yell, it's
Mhm.
okay to be whatever you want to be, and you have a safe space.
Yeah.
That's like I'm just so thankful that everyone is now showing up in whatever they are and taking off all of the filters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
It's nice that that stigma is going away. It also still very much exists.
yeah,
It's nice
absolutely.
that we're getting used to it, but I like to tell friends, if you happen to know any men, you probably know a man who needs therapy.
Yes,
That is
yes.
a thing. There's stigma and plenty of reasons why men choose not to go to therapy, whether it's being perceived as weak or not having an understanding of what therapy is, or believing they have to tough it out and just do the hard thing, or that they're not allowed to have feelings. There's a lot of reasons men can be reluctant to do that. And so for me, that's been a unique way for me to meet my clients where they're at. You'll often see therapists market themselves toward diagnoses, and that's great language. Like if you're looking for, you need help with an anxiety disorder, or you've been feeling really depressed, that can help you find a great therapist to work on some of those issues. I decided to take a different angle and to market myself towards those 3 demographic groups, towards men, towards creatives, and towards professionals, because that helped those people find me in a little bit different way.
That's a good segue because I was going to ask, how do you find your customers? There's all those things where as entrepreneurs, you've got your mission, you've got your vision, you understand what you want to do. And it's like, how do I cross over from, I understand that there's a fine line. You
Sure.
can't give therapy to family and friends. But for some, we have to go through that phase
Yep.
of doing services as like showing up and showing that you can do this. But for you, how did you target your niche audience or your customers?
Yeah, this is a fun question for me to reflect on. I went to school to be a social worker. Nobody
Okay.
taught us in grad school how to market. That wasn't a part of our education, is how to market a business one day. I spent the first 10 years of my career working for a company where our referrals were court ordered. So I didn't have to worry about going to get clients. They came to us by the county, they came to us through the court system. And so when I started my business, now for the very first time, I'm responsible for making my business known and for getting people to my business, for getting my business in front of people. What helped me the most was getting connected to networks and places and putting my expertise, my reputation in these spaces where my clientele would be at. So, for example, I stay connected to networks, for example, in Durham, where entrepreneurs stay connected and get support services. I work with professionals. That's a great way for entrepreneurs to know my company, to know who I am, to get connected to therapy that's relevant to them. I'm connected to the Durham Chamber of Commerce. That helps people find me there too. Through that way, I have friends who are providers in each of the states I'm licensed in. So if I have a referral for, let's say somebody calls me and I'm either not the right fit to work with them, or maybe I don't have availability in my schedule, and let's say they're in Denver, I can reach out to a friend in Denver and say, "Hey, can you work with this client?" So it's a mutual referral system that's helped. I think networking with other professionals similarly has been really helpful, whether online or even in my own local region, staying connected to the triangle, other providers here. You mentioned the ethical standard of of privacy to therapy. So I cannot ever work with a family member or a friend or something like that as their provider. But if my family and friends care about me and care about my business, they're putting my name out there to their friends and family who are looking for therapy. And I would never violate confidentiality in those cases. But if a friend knows somebody who's a man who needs a therapist, I'm usually at the top of my friend's mind for that. So that's something I learned too, is how to leverage my own relationships, stay connected to my own networks, how to keep relationships sustained and healthy too. And then, of course, we're listed in online directories like Psychology Today and stuff like that.
That is, I have found that like you're like, where are my people, and how can I show up
Yeah.
on these billboards and things like that, and in those forums. So those are all great things to
Yeah.
understand how to gain and keep customers. So doing your network and referrals, it sounds like it's the heart of your business, the heartbeat of your
Absolutely.
business.
Yeah, and something that was really hard to learn. And I don't, what's that like for you? Because I know for me, like I didn't learn any of this until I was an entrepreneur, and then I had to learn for the first time. What was that like for you?
Listen, it is, I'm very new into this space, so I am now paying my dues in the networking. So that's
Okay,
where
great.
I'm really trying to stay plugged in and show up, because as I'm realizing that there's something about being in the room,
Hmm.
is that connection point. You get to talk to me. We can talk about not just work, we could talk about life, all of those things that kind of make me who I am and what drove me to start my business. So as I continue to kind of connect, I'm taking gems too. Like I'm taking notes as
Yeah,
I'm connecting with my fellow entrepreneurs, because no matter how many times I do this interview and I ask the same questions, I get different answers.
mm,
Some of it has some synergy to it, but
sure.
everyone approaches it differently.
Oh
And
yeah,
so that I think there's just power in community, because sometimes if you think we're competing for the same resources, I don't want to give my secrets away. So thank you for
that's good.
saying that you leverage your peers who are in the same space. And sometimes it's just not a fit. And it's okay to say, hey, Roger, Sean, I have someone, you guys, I'm making up stuff, but
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a potential client. What do you think? And vice versa. So I think
absolutely.
that is great to understand that when you show up and you connect and you're authentic, the clients who are for you will be for you. So that's what I'm trying to hone into as
Yeah.
I continue the very early phases of my entrepreneurship journey.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I think the friendship you and I have is also a representative of that. You and I just met a week ago.
Right.
Finances and mental health are connected, right? When
Absolutely.
finances are good, there's an impact that has on stress. When finances are not so good, there's an impact that has on family dynamics, on stress, on ability to manage anger and irritation. I mean, all of these different aspects of our lives. When I know I've got somebody who can help a client who's dealing with financial stress, that lets you be a referral for me for those clients. And now you know that if you've got somebody who's going through some mental health stuff, that you can refer my direction too. That network, that being connected to our communities helps us support and sustain each other's businesses and make sure our
Absolutely.
customers are being served.
And yeah, and I also want to say that because we have and we will continue to be in that same ecosystem,
Hmm.
it's not just a one and done. Like I met Rhonda at some conference and I've never seen her
Yeah.
again.
Uh-huh.
I, without a doubt, know we're going to continue to show up in the same spaces. And so
Yep.
it's being familiar and say, well, this is what I understand. And this is how I understand Kevin's approach. And this is what Rhonda does. And
Absolutely.
just because we have that, I think people can say, they can let their guard down and really trust. Because a
Hmm.
lot of times when you get into this space of just trying to sell or push a product or a service, people get apprehensive and
Hmm.
they're like, well, you don't know what I need and all those things. But if
Sure.
you sincerely say, hey, give this a try, and if I vice versa say, just try it out and just see, I think it's going to be received much better if
Oh
someone's
yeah.
trying it on their
Absolutely.
own.
Absolutely.
And I also, because you said another way that people can find you is like platforms like Psychology Today. I've been on there. It's so many therapists.
Yes,
People, I
it
think they
is.
get fatigued. They don't
Yep.
know. And then they
You get
probably
tired of
don't make a
scrolling.
decision, right?
Uh-huh.
They get like overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know what therapist to choose. And then they
Oh
don't make
yeah.
a decision.
Hmm.
So I'm just glad that you just have different forums, and at the root of it all, just being able to have that reference and that network to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So understanding kind of how you started, finding your customers, growing your business. What other resources do you leverage to keep your business healthy, to have different opportunities within your business? Like, what do you feel like you've kind of leaned into?
What have I leaned into? So again, this is all stuff that I had to learn first thing because, again, nobody taught me how to run a business. So I'm learning marketing for the first time. I'm also learning about how to diversify for the first time. I needed to diversify my referral stream. I mentioned a few places you can find me. I'm also in network with a couple different EAPs. That's an employee assistance program. If you are looking for therapy and you're working for a company that offers an EAP, or even if you don't know, it's worth asking, hey, what are the benefits I have through my employee assistance program? Often companies will cover so many therapeutic services. So that's a way that clients can find me too. Stuff that's helped. I also leaned into my expertise with doing speaking engagements and giving clinical trainings. So I'm also a certified trainer for other therapists. They can earn continuing education credits for coming to my trainings. Right now, I'm giving a training on the ethical use of artificial intelligence in psychotherapy to help therapists learn how to leverage it in ethical ways and what some of the risks and benefits are with that. So that helped me diversify my business too. I'm not just working with clients who are looking for therapy, I'm also providing services to other therapists. Diversification has also come from doing other speaking engagements, being willing to travel, um, being willing to do stuff via Zoom or in person in different spaces. Can you remind me the question again, please, Rhonda?
No, you answered it. I leveraged it. I think I was saying what resources have helped you
Okay.
maintain and kind of grow your business or, keep the health of your business
Okay.
successful.
That's good.
And you
So other
said
resources, well, so that's part of it. I'm thinking too, other resources. I've mentioned people a couple of times. Being a part of E3, an ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs in Durham, that's a support for my company. Being able to learn from other business owners in my area by being a member of the Durham Chamber of Commerce. That's a way for me to network, connect with other business owners, and learn from what works and what isn't working from them to being connected to the business economy in my city. I mean, I can keep going. There's so many things.
so.
I
No,
mentioned the
this is
training thing.
great. Like
I,
this
I
is
mentioned the
great.
training piece. So for me to
Yeah.
develop my speaking skill, I'm a therapist. I get paid to listen to people, and I'm really good at that. For me to develop a speaking skill, I joined a local Toastmasters club. Toastmasters is a nonprofit organization that helps people work on public speaking skills. That helped me develop and refine my communication skills so that I can go to these trainings and be a sought after speaking person for those spaces. I'm also a part of a community, an online communications community called The Arena, where we focus on developing leadership skills and communication skills at a little bit higher level or a different intentionality, I think, with communication, how to write talks, develop talks, stuff like that. Networking with other providers. I mean, I could keep going. There's like so many people has been a great way to help me refine and build my business, leaning into relationships, stuff like that too.
No, 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 no. This is all good. And I'm like, as you're like, you see, like my head is just going like, yep, yep, yep. Because I too, when you said speaking and leveraging, because you realize that you can no longer be behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You cannot have faceless content. People want to see you, understand who you are.
Hmm.
And so when you talked about having a platform of just diversifying how you show up, not just having your referrals, but speaking, joining clubs, doing all of those things. And I have too found that that is helpful because I've been on the search for Toastmasters. So,
Oh, that's awesome. I will send you
yeah.
an invite. Yeah, I go to a local club in Durham that has been a great community to help me develop and refine my speaking skills.
Well, I also want to put in a plug, and we'll talk more later, but there's also in our area the National Speaker Association.
I don't know
So
what that
those
is.
that is a organization specifically for speakers. And
Cool.
so that is a way that you can kind of get plugged in and understand events. And when I join, or I'm not, haven't joined yet, but you can just
Mhm.
see that I want to. But when I went, I liked that it was authentic and they allowed everyone in the room to have a voice. And then
That's
what was
great.
great is they gave a where you could have an ask right there on the spot. They're like, speak up. What do you
Wow.
need? And
Yeah.
in that moment, everyone, who wanted to had an opportunity to say, I have this going on, or I have a book that's about to be released, or
Hmm.
I'm looking to get on this stage. And it was well received because I raised my hand during that. And someone came over and wrote something on a piece of paper and like, let's connect. And I'm like, and it was just being in the room and raising your hand. So
Yeah.
yes, that does
That's cool.
work and just showing up. So I'll be make sure, and I'll even for the viewers, I will give some information, and there might be an association in your community. But before we end, I always want to leave the viewers with hope and aspiration. So,
Sure.
what advice would you give someone who wants to become an entrepreneur but is afraid to take the leap?
I like that you said you want to lean into hope because that's sort of my wheelhouse. The
Yeah,
future is full of hope. If you are ready to start your business, you're ready to start your entrepreneurial journey, and you're afraid, a good place to start is being kind and curious about where that fear comes from. To have an understanding of that. For example, maybe you're afraid because of the potential financial implications of being totally reliant on yourself. That's different from being afraid of putting your face out there, or that's different from being afraid of, let's say you're a creative person, of marketing your craft for the first time. That's a different kind of fear. It's okay to have feelings about what you're doing, being curious about them, being compassionate about them. The more you understand those feelings, the more you can plan on how you want to respond to them and what you want to do with it. I think at some point, you've also got to embrace the fear and be courageous. When you're afraid of something, that's always an opportunity to do something brave and to step into something new. I think that's a great reminder uh, that when I am afraid that that might be the right thing I need to do, and that's an opportunity for me to show courage. I think if you have the opportunity, doing it from a place of privilege can be helpful. If you have a 9 to 5 and you're able to pick up your entrepreneurship or your business as a side hustle, that's a great place to start because there's a little bit of safety in the finances that you have coming in and the consistent income you already have. There's privilege in that. Being able to start that way can be really helpful, but eventually you've got to take the jump. And so that's my encouragement is be kind of curious, be courageous, do what you got to do, and then when it's time, jump.
do it. Thank you for that. Now, I would be remiss, but how can our viewers keep in touch with you?
Sure. The best ways to find me are at futurefullofhope.com. You can also sign up for our email list for our blog. So one of my favorite free resources I provide, I'm a huge hip hop head. I love rap music. I love the way hip hop culture connects to the listener, connects to what's going on in the world. I publish a blog where I explore the intersection of hip hop and mental health themes. So like last year we got into the Clips album. We got into I could write on Kendrick Lamar's music all day, the way that he intersects with mental health themes, stuff like that. But you can sign up at our website at futurefullofhope.com. You can join the email list, keep tabs on everything we're doing there. If you're interested in reaching out for therapy, you can also sign up for a free consultation on my website. That's a 10 to 15-minute phone call that we would do just to figure out whether or not we would be a good match for working together, and then set up an appointment that way. You can also find us on social media platforms on Instagram at Futureful of Hope, LinkedIn, and Psychology Today directories.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great day, Kevin.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Achieve Financial Freedom. Remember, financial freedom doesn't happen by accident, it happens with intention. Until next time, keep taking steps towards the life you deserve.